Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Agony. And yes. It is the new year and we've got some new tea to spill. So let's sit back, relax, and listen to today's episode. Alrighty, so this one is a very short one, but also very loaded. So let's get into it. Am I the asshole for wanting my significant other to get a vasectomy instead of getting my tubes tied? I, 27 female, and my husband, 31 male, are due at the end of February with our third child. We have made the joint decision that we are done having kids after this one. Due to my various medical complications involving other forms of contraception, we have come to the joint conclusion that the only way to ensure we won't get pregnant again is through surgical means, i.e., tubes tied or vasectomy. I agreed early on in the pregnancy to get my tubes tied, but the closer we get to the delivery, the more scared I get of this serious procedure. As mentioned, this is our third child, and the birth is already pretty painful, terrifying, difficult life event that I will have to physically recover from, and the idea of an added procedure like this really scares me. I discussed the procedure with my OB at my last appointment and was informed that they cannot put me asleep for the procedure, but she assured me that I would be drugged enough not to care or remember it. But the idea of being awake while someone is mucking around inside my abdomen is just terrifying to me. My husband won't even consider the idea of getting a vasectomy, even though from what I've read, it seems to be less risky/serious procedure. I understand the macho male perspective of not wanting to feel like less of a man, but also think that it's a silly reason for why I should have to take on another procedure when I'm already the one who has to give birth. Shouldn't he at least consider sparing me this huge procedure? Am I the asshole for wanting to take his manhood? Oh, girl. Okay, I think also the way you're phrasing the question, are you the asshole for wanting to take his manhood? Vasectomies don't take people's manhoods. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a castration, it's a vasectomy, you know? And also, I do think that, like, vasectomies, I don't know how foolproof those things are. And it might just be like anecdotal things that you hear of like vasectomies reversing themselves or people still getting pregnant, after vasectomies or whatever. I'm not entirely sure. I'm all for double safety. Like, why don't both of you get it done? There's the vasectomy, and in case that didn't work, we've also got the tied tubes. And let's just, call it a day. Everybody's, got a bull in this fight. That's my that's my half-hearted solution to this problem. But yeah, I think as a society, the responsibility of contraception has oftentimes been placed on women, and the consequences have never really been considered as anything, I've never really been considered as something that like could be life altering to the woman that has to now take on these things, right? Even something simple as like getting an IUD is quite uncomfortable, You have to like take a pill the day before to dilate your cervix, and then someone's all up in your cooch. Yeah, and there are complications that happen there as well. Like, obviously not as many, but like, all these things have side effects, and there are like 500 million gajillion ways to get a woman to, take the onus of not having a baby on her. Like, the responsibility is hers because she has 500 options, and therefore she has no excuse not to get pregnant. And not that much energy is put into, male contraceptives to say that, like, listen, you're the one who can make 500 million gajillion people pregnant in one day. So you're the one who's actually the cause of this issue. So how about we get you strapped up, so that you don't go around making people pregnant, but then that's when we start hearing about, oh, but what about the side effects? And oh, you know what an inconvenience to a man's life for him to feel nauseous, or for him, to gain weight, or to suddenly be depressed and not even be himself in any way, right? To not have control over his mind, hormones, and body because of this contraceptive that he's taking, right? However, it's okay for a woman to be put in that very same predicament, because, you're a woman, and why do you matter? So, yeah, all I can really say is sorry to Home Slice, because this is a very difficult position that they're in, because it's the society that we're in. That society has made it her responsibility, to have kids or not, right? And then if she were to choose to abstain from sex, because that's another 100%, foolproof thing, just don't have sex and you're not going to have another kid. You know what I mean? So should she decide that, like, you know what, I'm okay with closing up shop, then again, she's an asshole, right? Because she owes her husband sex. So this whole like bodily autonomy, like there isn't much of it in this setting, right? If your husband wants kids and you don't want kids, it's an issue, right? Because you're the one who has to sacrifice your body for this endeavor. He's not just going to the shops and picking them up. You are the one who has to risk your life, to give this person a baby because they quote unquote want a legacy, which don't even get me started on that bullshit. But you know what I mean? So your body is the one that, is the stone that men, sharpen their swords on. And as you slowly, chip away and become this tiny little, piece of gravel, you then get, mocked and belittled and cast aside for being useless and just being, that tiny stone that irritates you when it's in your shoe. When you forget that you were once a great big rock, and that, one society and men and, expectations and religion and everyone has slowly chipped away at you, and now there's like nothing left. And this is, I guess, how it manifests itself, right? That you're like, well, you already tore up from the floor up because of the baby, so might as well just jump in there and tie the tubes, as opposed to, opening like a whole new procedure for the guy, even though it's less invasive, even though it's not that hectic, and it's just, they'll be going through a lot less quote unquote trauma, for the sake of, for the lack of a better word. They'd be going through less trauma to get this vasectomy done. And in the name of like fairness, like, why don't you put your body on the line for the sake of this family planning effort? Because I've been putting my life on the line in the name of family planning. Now it's your turn, This is one area where you actually can contribute. I can't be mad at you for not being able to bear children, but you're well within your rights to be mad at your partner, because this is one thing that they can contribute and they're choosing not to. Again, because society has conditioned their mind to be okay with your body being the lamb that we slaughter for the sake of, whatever equilibrium they're trying to create, right? That women's bodies are, sacrificed in the name of men's desires. And what now he wants is, he doesn't want any more children, and therefore your body must be the one that goes through whatever it needs to go through to make that happen, So, yeah, it's awkward, and I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry for such a short story. I really did ramble, and, I guess it's just because it's a topic that's really close to my heart. Bodily autonomy is one thing that, like, really gets on my nerves, just because, I think people don't really think about how entrenched these like preconceived ideas are in our minds, and this idea of like, oh well, certain things come naturally to certain people, when it's not necessarily naturally. It's just we've been conditioned, and the conditioning runs so deep that we can't even see the end of that tether. Do you get what I mean? Like we don't even know how far this rope goes. And now, because we don't know how far this rope goes, and because it goes so deep, we're now telling ourselves that it's growing from the ground. You know what I mean? That it's a tree. Instead, it's just something, it's a foreign object that has been just planted, or not planted, but placed very deep, you know. And the time and energy it would take for us to keep digging and digging and digging and finding, the source, the other end of this rope, so we could yank it out and discard it, that work would require a lot of dismantling of other, structures that are predicated on this core belief, right? This core belief on, sort of the positionality of women and men in society. So yeah, low key messed up, but no, you're not the asshole. And I'd say stand on your business, boo. Stand on your business. If this is really a deal breaker, and if it's something that you really don't want to do, and I can understand the fear of it, right? And that maybe he's afraid too, and he doesn't want to say it. And I think that would be a great place to start the conversation, to say that, are you afraid of getting a vasectomy? You know what I mean? Manhood aside, because then you could say that tying the tubes, robs you of your womanhood. We can both make the same argument for this, like, fictitious gender performance or gender role or gender identity, in the sense that you're going to feel less like a woman with your tubes tied, he'll feel less like a man with his, vasectomy. Chilled. So we're both on the same page. We both have the same fear. I'm afraid of the procedure itself. Are you afraid of the procedure? Cool. We're both afraid of the procedure. You know what I mean? And then maybe abstain from sex or condomize in the meantime while you guys negotiate this thing. I don't think you have to have your tubes tied immediately if you're still not sure. Like, consent is key here, and it needs to be enthusiastic consent, because it is your body. So you can say no to having the procedure and delay it until the two of you find a happy middle ground. And maybe it does mean going to counseling, and discussing these certain dynamics, and how maybe this issue in itself is maybe indicative of a larger issue in your relationship, where there might be an imbalance or a lack of empathy. So then dig deeper into those things and find out, like, why has he been okay with watching you suffer from the many complications that have come from various forms of contraception, and has watched you suffer through childbirth 3 times, but is not willing to undergo a minor procedure for the sake of sparing you future pain and discomfort, and sparing himself future, financial distress. So, it's a win-win across the board. So maybe go to counseling, and I definitely say hold off on the procedure, because if you do it under duress or whatever, it just might end up being an issue in the relationship. You know what I mean? It might become something that you can never get over, and will constantly hold against him, because, he made you do something, and your body's forever changed because of something he was inconsiderate about, So I'd say speak up for yourself before you can't do anything, Anyway, that is it. That is how Am I the Asshole? If there are any updates, then you will hear about it in the next episode or upcoming episodes, whenever the update is available. Thank you so much for listening. And again, if you have any opinions, if you have any thoughts, comment, share, like, do the things, interact with the social media. The question or the poll is sometimes posted on the Instagram as well, so keep your eyes out for our Instagram page, which has the same name, Monotonous Cacophony. And yeah, we'll see you there. Damn. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this situation. I do find that obviously there are two sides to every story, you know, and I might be very biased. But yeah, you know, everyone should have autonomy over their bodies, and it just becomes a question of, is proving a point more important than, you know, this shared goal that you have in terms of not wanting any more children in the future? Are you willing to risk it? Would you, dear listener, be willing to risk it for the sake of proving a point? This being a very important and very serious point, and I guess something that speaks to how your partner sees you, but would you be willing to take the risk? Anyway, tell me in the comments below. See you later. See you next week, lovies. And I have a little surprise content that will be coming out during the Monday motivation sabbatical. I'm not sure if it'll start next week or the following week, but just a little something, because I know you miss me, to keep you entertained while I also take a break. So yeah, see you next week. Bye.